another Open Mic Night here at criticalblast.com. Mike Walters from the Mic Stand and Jay Lee, creator of the Steins, both are with us again, sitting here in the flames of YouTube, as it were. James, you done showing off now, James? Sitting here in the flames of YouTube, as it were.
Showing off?
Yeah, I watched you over in that Twitter group.
Yeah. I'm showing off. That's just some of the little stuff I have. I mean, if I'm going to go show off, I'll go get the old autographs from the 20s.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hey,
I'm sitting here watching. James has been introduced to the group. Hi, James. What can you contribute? Well, I got this Todd McFarlane autographed piece of art, and I've got this George Perez autographed portfolio. And I'm like, oh my God, you're just going to make everybody pile up around your house and raid it in the middle of the night, man.
Did you notice the number on the Todd McFarlane piece?
I did not.
Number 1 of 500.
Oh wow, that was the Violator piece.
No, that's the colored poster. The Violator pieces are from Brian Denham's artwork. He did the Violator versus Bedrock. I'm sorry. Over Extreme Studios.
You have quite the collection.
And I know one that went past you because you probably didn't recognize. The Wolverine piece.
I saw a guy with claws coming out, and I was like, that's a Wolverine take on something, but I did not recognize
That's a Wolverine piece. Now, who's the artist?
I don't know.
Michael Turner.
Ooh, a Michael Turner Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mike. This was a Twitter DM group, just a bunch of comics lovers getting together, and James just got invited to it today, and he brought out all the he was bringing some heavy heat. As the stepbrother.
Well, there does over the last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks here, there has been a lot of big comic news. Todd McFarlane being one of them, of course, because of King Spawn, and then
the thing is, I'm going to talk about the con. There are some things I want to go over at the con that I saw, and this is not. This is more meant to artists, writers, even the big guys. This is something I saw, and I was like, okay, this does need to be addressed, especially if you're an indie. If you are an indie creator, and you go to a con, you need to remember this one thing. When you get to a con, you're not the creator anymore. You're the face of your company.
Yeah,
you've got to promote. That means you've got to do customer service. Now, I'm in the artist alley, author alley, whatever it is, and I'm at the end of the alley. So that means I got the corner, which is really good. Right next to me is a young lady. She is a digital arts professor. She actually teaches digital arts at University of North Texas. Okay, her niche is dark fantasy artwork, and it was gorgeous. I mean, just you buy prints and like that. So they had us together. I'm looking down artist alley. Everybody's set up. Now, number one, on setups, they give you between 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning to set up. That does not mean everybody show up at 10:30. Okay, I mean, that's a complete disaster. I at 7 o'clock. It was an easy setup, easy load up, easy thing. Even had time to run to Whataburger, get food, and come back. It was one of those things. And but that's one thing. Get there with plenty of time. Have your stuff organized. Don't just bring stuff in and dump it. Have it organized so you can unload quick, set up quick, and be ready to go. Number two, when it opens, I'm sitting there, the whole line, except for myself and the young lady, everybody stay seated. Don't do that. Stand up, promote your stuff, talk to fans. Don't sit back 5 feet from the table with your head down, sketching unless you're doing an actual art piece, just selling. Don't do that because you're losing sales. No, you're not communicating at all. You have your books out, you have your stuff out, but if you're not talking, discussing what you've got, they're going to walk right past you. And 80% of all the people in the comic alley did that. They just kept sitting down. I stayed up.
The other artists there who were trying to sell work.
There was no. It's like being on some of the open mic stuff and stuff when people try to promote, even on here. They have no plan. They have no come in to promote, and they're just fumbling around. You got to be professional about it. You got to have a plan. You've got to work on your approach. You got to work on everything. the young lady that was beside me, because she is a teacher, she knows how to talk to people.
Right.
At my regular job, I talk to people all day. So I was able to talk to people, tell them about books, sell books. I mean, I made a killing on the books. I have a few books. That's why they're on sale right now. But I made a really good killing on a one day con. She did even better than I did. I think she cleared like $3,500.
Hmm.
But I mean, everybody else was sitting with that, and it was like no communication, no interaction. You got to interact with your fans. You got to interact with people, especially if you're an indie creator. Indie creator, that means you go from creator artist to when that door opens up, you're the salesperson, you're the main pusher, you're the infomercial guy. You have got to push your product. If we want to have sales and we want to have big sales like what Marvel and DC do, we have got to be more focused on the fans. We've got to have more interaction, especially at cons. That doesn't mean just sit down in your chair and wait for somebody to come by. No, stand up. Stand up, talk to people, be proactive.
Oh, I've taken my books to conventions, and if nobody's at my table, I opened up the book and started reading aloud. I would start doing a reading with
Well,
voices.
I didn't have to do that. I was having people come by, where I was at. But I mean, this thing of here's my stuff. I'm the artist. I'm going to sit back and just draw all day, and maybe I'll make some money. No, get up, talk to people, interact with people, and
Be
do
human.
things. Also, you have vendors. Okay, they're selling comic books. They're selling books. Go talk to them. Make deals with them. Say, hey, look, I can give you this for this price, which is cheaper than retail. You can get it from me. You don't have to worry about shipping. Don't have to worry about anything like that. Do you want to make a deal or something? And I had three Comic Cons buy 5 or 6 books a piece from me for their stores. But I went and talked with them. Made deals with them. But you got to do that. You got to be proactive. You got to be pro sales, especially when you're at a con. Just don't go to the con, set up a table, thinking that, oh, I got my stuff out. They'll walk up, they'll buy it. No, that's not how it works, especially now. And the thing is, when I was at the con I was at, the Artist Alley and stuff, 85% there were indie creators. Most of them are not even on Twitter or Facebook or anything. I told them they had to get on Facebook, had to get on Twitter, had to get YouTube, get things out there, promote your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the main thing.
You need some kind of platform to promote yourself. Now it doesn't necessarily have to be all three. Even just one of the three will at least get you at least some interaction with people. Because like I myself, of course I have my YouTube channel here. I'm on Facebook. And I used to be on Twitter, but I got off Twitter because it was just too much of a headache. Yeah. But I am on Minds now, and I'm on Discord. So, you do want to get onto as many platforms as you can, just as long as you don't get caught up in all the drama and all the stupidity.
That's where when you're doing Twitter and you're doing Minds and you're doing Parler and Facebook, promote your book. Focus on promoting your book. Don't worry about anything else or people going back and forth. But if you're going to promote your book, promote your book. It's easy to get caught up in things, but when it comes to promoting your book, promote the book. And also, independent comics, again, have a game plan. If you're going to go on, like, say, Open Mic Nite with Alternative Comics, you got 5 minutes. Practice your pitch, okay?
How much Toastmasters experience do you have, James?
How
much Toastmasters experience do you have, man?
Quite a bit.
Because you're preaching the distinguished Toastmaster line.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I've been around professional wrestling, backstage. I've seen what they do to get ready for their promos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you think except for like a New Japan Pro Wrestling, at the end of the night when the champion gets the mic and gets 10 minutes to talk, everything is run through. Yeah. Everything is done to where your points. You've got to get your points over. You got 3 minutes. You got 5 minutes. You've got to do something to get people's attention. And coming in to anything that's open and you're using I'm poor, this or that, don't make them feel sorry for you. Make them want your book. Make them want to buy your product. Give them a reason to buy your product. Do do something different like mine. My hitch is real simple. It's the first romantic horror story. I put that, and that was a good niche because I had a lot of goth dressed women buy the books because of that. And then I had guys come by and they were asking, "Well, what's the thing?" And I told them there's a lot of fighting and there's lots of. They bought the books, so you have to find a good way to promote the book. And also, when you come in, if you have to write it down, write a script down that you can read from, like a prompter. Everybody else does it.
Yeah.
But to promote your stuff, promote your channels and stuff, have a advertisement because you're going to get like on Pete's show or other people's shows, you're going to get 5 minutes. Use the 5 minutes as best you can. Be ready the minute you come on.
Yeah. In Toastmasters, they call that table topics. You have 3 minutes to give a speech on something that you have no idea what it's going to be about until you volunteer to stand up and give it. And then you're asked a question.
Because it's your product, you should know your product in and out.
Yeah.
You should be able to give a real quick synopsis of your product, what it is. Like with the Steins. It's based on Mary Jade One Stein. Right off the bat, her parents are killed. What happens? She has to go live with her relatives over in Europe. Who are they? They're a bunch of werewolves, vampires, monsters, and ghouls. She has to survive living with them, but you still have the assassins who want to kill her. And it's all wrapped up, and that's just in book 1. That way, there's the hook. That's just in book 1. Book 2, there's even more. So, that's what I use as my little hook. Like that. That's only 20 seconds. And it catches people's attention. Then they pick up the first book and read the back of it, which has got a little more detail into it.
Yeah. You get them to want to pick it up and look at it.
Yeah.
And then have the book do the rest of the selling.
Because what I found was they would come by, talk to me for a second, then walk around, come back again, talk to me again, and on the third trip, when I came back on the third time, they bought the book. So it was always third time's charm. But they were asking more questions about it, trying to make up their mind. And the other thing that I did was I didn't sell my book at retail. You came to see me, I'm going to give you a discount, big discount. I was selling.
RJ, I'll be right back.
I was selling, and I'm doing it here. The only difference is online, I'm having to charge shipping a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was charging $10 for the paperbacks and $20 for the hardbacks. And I came home with 6 hardbacks.
George, how you doing, by the way?
All right.
So, your production, your pitch, that's all important, especially at cons, because you got to deal with everybody else.
Did you find out that do you sell better on your last day there than you do on your first day?
On mine?
Yeah.
I found out that, believe it or not, the last hour I sold better.
That's what I'm finding too, because first day there, don't expect to sell anything because
it was only a 1-day deal.
Oh well, that's even
But
better.
This is the thing was the first hour I had good sales. The 5 o'clock hour was dead. I mean, the 5 o'clock hour, everybody goes and gets food. 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But the 6 to 7 o'clock hour, that's when everything picked up really good. I mean, it wasn't a bad convention. I mean, like I said, it was a small convention, in a metroplex area, but it wasn't like the big thing that's going to happen at K. Bailey Hutchinson, which I will not be attending due to I want to say logistics, but actually it was because they were asking way too much money for a table.
Yeah, I go to a 3-day convention and I find out that like day 1, everybody's visiting people. It's like, hey,
day 2 is the big day. Day 2 is the big day. That's Saturday is the big day.
And then Sunday is like it's going to close up at noon, and that's when a lot of people leave. A lot of vendors pack up like, Sunday's a slow day. No, Sunday's the day that everybody who traveled in realizes that they've been walking around the con to see what they really want to get. Oh crap, everybody left. I still have money left. What am I going to spend it on because I brought it here to spend? Yeah,
and the thing is with me, if I'm going to be at a 3-day event, I'm going to be there the first day. I'm going to be there right when it opens up so I can set up. I'm not going to wait but I'm going to wait till they shut the doors. I'll tell you why. And this happened between 6 and 7 o'clock when we were at the end. Now, 6:45, it had died. I mean, everybody was breaking down at 6:45. They started at 6:45. The problem is that from 6 to 7 we had a mad rush of people, and I had all my stuff still set up. The young lady beside me had hers, and we had a lot of people around the booth, a lot of people around the table. I can show you my setup. Hold on. I'll put a. Let me see if I pull it up on here.
Yeah.
But I'll show
While
you
you're
exactly
doing
what
that,
my
I'll show
setup-
you how I spent my afternoon. This was on the Lego build stream, and yes, I have built this before. This is, of course, the Big Bang Theory, but it's interesting what you can do with your Lego set with just a couple of 19-cent LED lines and a USB power supply.
Ah, so that's the stream I fell asleep on. Okay.
This is the stream you fell asleep on. Yes, George. we gave you Lego Asmer effects. This looks pretty nice in the dark now. It didn't look so hot in the daytime, but
Is that your new nightlight?
I think it might be. Yeah. No, I like to sleep in pitch black. I get my best sleep in pitch black. I've slept before with a light on in the room, and I always wake up multiple times in the middle of the night, and I don't know what time it is. I go to sleep here, it's pitch black. If I wake up and it's light, it's daytime. Time to get up.
Yeah. So this is my setup I had at. Whoops. Hold on.
I would say that doesn't look like a setup.
No, I don't know what just happened.
No, it was a setup.
Okay. There we go.
Boom.
We set him up.
There we go. But that's the setup I had.
Yeah, there you go.
And like I said, it went really well. Like I said, I was there. I said I was there before everybody else got there, so I had my stuff all set up. And I was like right there at the corner. So the door was basically one table over and straight ahead. So I mean, like you come in through the main entrance, and you come around and you turn to the left. I'm right there at the corner. So I was there, and then the young lady that was beside me was right at that next table, and it was a nice venue, really nice venue.
Looks like you have a lot of, or not a lot of, I guess, but you have adequate space to sit behind the table.
Yeah, they gave us like 4.5. They gave us like almost 4 feet behind the table. They gave us a lot of room to move around. Yeah.
Yeah, usually you're like, walking sideways behind the table, or you're bumping the guy behind you.
No, they had this really well played out. And the other thing is, they gave us 8-foot tables.
Oh, wow.
So that's an 8-foot table. That's not a 6-foot. That's an 8-foot table.
You can do a lot.
So I mean, I really had a lot of room to display. And like I said, I went through. Oh man, I think I've got 16 of the paperback book 2s still available. I know I've got about 25 of the paperback regular first edition, and I've only got 6 of the hardbacks. So they sold really well.
You had a good sell through. Yeah, I'm gonna start going to bigger cons, I guess, because I always go to the same small town con, and I just don't sell that many. But there's not that many people going to it, so it makes sense.
Like I said, this is the first one I've been to, so I didn't know how it was going to go, but we had a good crowd, very good crowd. So,
Well, I'm glad it was a success for you, man.
Yeah.
Mike, where'd you get to Friday night? I know you were doing the.
Yeah, we finished on the Friday night historical comics retrospect. We finished up our coverage of March of 1938. Talked a little bit about King Comics 25 from David McKay Publications, and then I also read through some of Comics on Parade #1 from United Feature Syndicate. Some of the features that we went over included Ella Cinders, Billy Make Believe, Captain and the Kids.
Yeah, later known as the Katzenjammer Kids.
Well, okay, Captain and the Kids. Yeah, that's what Backo was saying. That the Captain and the Kids feature in the United Feature Syndicate features is very similar to the Katzenjammer Kids.
Yeah.
And as you know, I try when I read, I try to do the different voices and stuff, kind of try to make it a little more lively. Backo was saying I was doing pretty good with, I had a little trouble at first with the German accents and stuff like that, but I eventually got it down. So yeah, we reading through Captain and the Kids, Ella Cinders, Billy Make Believe, Little Mary Mix Up, a few of them there. So. Fritzy Rich. Of course, the thing with United Feature Syndicate, too, of course, two of the features were not included in the comic because, which were the Tarzan and Little Abner features, and I guess there's some that maybe they're not public domain or whatever. But usually when I do United, because United Features, that's where Tarzan and Little Abner are. Now, as I told you, I also covered more summary work because there aren't, at least from what I have never been able to find, any of the comics that were done by David McCabe publications, which were like King Comics, Ace Comics, and Feature Book. King Comics, of course, had as the lead feature Thimble Theater, which was the Popeye feature. So they had and David McCabe publications, their comic magazines, their comics at the time, they would do reprints of a lot of the King Feature Syndicate characters, which of course include Popeye, Flash Gordon, Mandrake the Magician, King of the Royal Mounted from Zane Grey.
You mentioned Fritzy Ritz. She went on for a very long time in comics, just not in her own strip.
One of the things Backgoat had mentioned during our coverage of that, while he and Woody were kind of talking about it, in the chat, was that her little niece, Nancy went on to have her own feature.
Yeah, and Fritzy Aunt Fritzy would appear in it regularly. But yeah, Nancy and Sluggo was the breakout of the whole Fritzy Ritz strip, and it went on for its own good time. Back in the day as well. But.
Yeah, and I have seen some, when I've done, when I've prepared my coverage and stuff like that. I've seen like some of the Nancy and Sluggo headers and all of that. With that,
Ernie Bushwiller had a. Go ahead.
The story from the Fritzy Ritz we covered was she was considering getting ready to go to Hollywood, and I guess her dad and her boyfriend were saying, you shouldn't get your hopes up too high. You'll probably have to end up waiting in line around the block to get an audition. She's all kind of acting like, well, you'll have to be waiting in line around the block when I get famous. So the story involved her taking, of course, her little niece Nancy. Well, it was just before, I guess, they went out to Hollywood, but she was still in consideration mode. By the end of the story, she was about ready to go. And then the Ella Cinder story was actually pretty interesting too. And I think if you had been there to hear that, you would probably see some comparisons to what's going on today, because the Ella Cinder story was primarily Ella Cinders. She was a receptionist, I guess, at a radio station or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she'd get all these letters, and she'd keep asking this one radio star, Miss Indigo, hey, this guy from Colorado, he keeps writing you. And Miss Indigo is just totally that idiot, that that kind of thing. She's too good to answer his letter, right? And Ella called her out on it. And then at the end of the story, she gets called into the manager's office because what she basically did was they asked her to edit some radio notes for this show that the lady singer was doing. They asked Ella to do, and so what she did was she snuck in a dedication request, or a dedication, right? Like she snuck in there, and this first song is going out to Johnny in Colorado, who'd been writing her and stuff like that. Because Ella felt bad that he kept writing her. He really loved her voice, but the star he was writing to just wouldn't have any of it. She was totally conceited, and you can find that story, of course, in Comics on Parade #1. On sale date was sometime March of 1938. I believe it would have been in April, or even depending upon the cover date, would have probably been April or June of 38. Usually what I found is the on sale date is kind of the chronological date, and then the cover date is usually a month or two after. So
Yeah, because that was sort of the it was like the stale date. Used before this on the label, and when that date happens, that's when they can say, okay, I can return this book now because it didn't sell.
right.
They also
Yeah.
made a movie out of Ella Cinders. I was just looking at it to see if any if James had any relations in the cast because it was a 1926 film, but not in this one that I can tell.
Not in that one. No, the only people that I had relationships that were working back in the 20s was Lily and Dorothy. That was it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah, and as I said, at this point, United Features are still doing like most of the publications that were going on. Most of the publishers at the time most of them were just doing newspaper reprints. I think only DC and Centaur were the two companies that were doing
all
doing
original
like
material.
almost all where it was predominantly all new content.
Yeah.
Even though you would start seeing some of the other companies start to integrate newer content with reprint, like Dell and United Features wasn't there yet, but let's see. Yeah, there were I think at this point, as I said, there were 7 publishers. At the end of 1937, there were 7 publishers publishing 16 books, but you would start to see in the spring of 38, you'd start seeing, more and more, as I said, Comics on Parade, #1. That became the second book that United Features did. And if you really want to see growth, how the comics industry grew over, let's say, 38, you're going to want to probably catch my next few shows, because Super Comics #1 came out in April, on sale date April of 38 for Dell, and then the month after, Cracker Jack Funnies #1. Let's see, the Mammoth Comics #1, but that was a one shot. Centaur had a few titles come out, including Little Giant Comics, Little Giant Star, but there was a lot of movement, and of course, and I will be devoting pretty much almost an entire episode to one coming up, Action Comics #1, when I get to May of 38. I kind of already told you in private. I don't want to give too much, because even though you've kind of told me that it's probably public domain, I don't necessarily have to worry about this, but feel better.
Yeah. I don't think you have a problem showing it on a stream and reading from it, because you're.
Are you talking about Action Comics #1?
Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't have any issues with Action Comics #1. Because you're doing a retrospective of how important a book is. You're doing it retrospective as a history type thing, and not trying to profitize from it or something like that.
Yeah, so you're not just putting the pages up there and giving people, say, okay, screenshot this, and just something.
Well, I am reading from it, though, giving.
You can read from it. The thing about it is you don't want to say, okay, I got pictures. Here you go. Here's screenshot this, screenshot this, screenshot this. No, that's you don't want to do that.
Yeah, but you're reading it. You're adding to it.
Okay. RJ, you've seen what I've done on. You've actually seen what I've done, right? So I do. As I'm reading it, I do have the comics up.
Yeah. He's got the comic up to one side, and he's reading it and talking about what's going on with it, and throwing the voices on it. So it's definitely. What's the thing about fair use? I'm not recalling the language, but you have to be adding to it substantively to show that you're using it for the right purposes.
And you think I'm doing enough to do that?
I think you're fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. I guess then I can drop the exact date for everybody else who hasn't. So we will be getting to May of 1938 DC Comics. Action Comics #1. Friday, September 17th. So basically a little under 3 weeks away here.
Right.
this Friday we'll be doing DC from April of 38. We'll be covering the usual fare I'd been up to this point with, of course, Slam Bradley, Speed Saunders, Dr. Occult. And then for the 10th, we'll be covering Dell and United Features. Dell, of course, Super Comics #1, Funnies 20. And then United Features will be giving kind of again, not a whole lot of information, only skeleton data, but Tip Top Comics #25 is what we'll be talking about a little bit there too. But yeah, so basically that's at least the next 3 weeks. I have kind of up through October 1st planned. So by October 1st we'll be through March of 38. And then it'll probably be the 3 middle weeks of October where I'll be covering June of 38. But I'll talk more about that as we get closer to that. But
all right,
yeah. So,
speaking of putting old things on YouTube streams, George. No, not that George is the old thing I'm putting on YouTube.
Well, especially with what we were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah.
George's mic's muted at the moment.
George, your mic is muted. We can't hear all the lovely 3D printers.
He may be AFK.
Oh, he's walked away. Well, George has been having fun with old movies and old serials lately.
Yeah, he's been doing Shazam, the Captain Marvel series.
Yeah.
So
the Captain Marvel of Fawcett Comics and DC Comics, not to be confused.
Yes, the original Captain Marvel, not the disaster we have now.
Yes. But I was supposed to be part of that, and I missed it.
Oh, speaking of that, yes, we had cosplay at the convention. There was one girl that did dress up as Captain Marvel. She looked better than Brie Larson. But
I heard Brie Larson almost didn't get that role too.
Well, but the surprising ones at the convention was, I don't know if you guys have seen the series or anything called Hell of a Boss. If you haven't, you're missing out some really funny stuff. But this couple came as Moxie and Dixie from Hell of a Boss, and they looked hilariously just like the characters. And it's a cartoon. It's on YouTube. It's a cartoon series. It's only 6 episodes right now, and it breaks every boundary you can think of. I mean, it's just a wild, unbelievable. You're sitting there. It can offend everybody and anybody. But it's so funny. You're just like going, I don't care. I'm just gonna watch it.
I'll check it out.
It's Western made.
I've survived, happy tree friends, so I can.
Well, speaking of cosplay, a little bit there. Granted, as a secondary topic, more or less, but have you guys heard about some of the hoopla going on with the whole Cowboy Bebop live action series?
Oh, okay. Here's the thing. Here's my point on Netflix when they get anime. They mess it up. They haven't made one yet that has been good. Not one. Yeah. I mean, 0. I mean, I left Netflix.
I know Yellow Flash would agree with that sentiment there, James.
Now, hold on. I left when they made that god-awful, terrible Death Note live action.
That was horrible.
I left Netflix there. I was like, I'm done. Netflix can go take a flying leap off a cliff. Then here comes Cowboy Bebop. Now, let me go over what they've done with Cowboy Bebop. Number 1, Ed's not even in it. I'm like, how can you have Cowboy Bebop without Ed? 2, when they came out and say, well, we changing the clothing of Faye Valentine because no woman can fight in those clothes. And if you haven't seen all the pictures from professional wrestling, that's all the women in professional wrestling wear now. And they were using WWE. I can pull stuff from New Japan, from Stardom, from Japan. And the girls wrestle in outfits like Faye Valentine's in. So that argument's out the door. And then, of course... seriously, it's out the door. It's completely out the door. And then here come the Puritan going, oh, it's just because the male guys, this, that, and the other. No, it's real simple. If you're going to do an anime, if you're going to base something on an anime, keep it truthful to the anime. Okay, now we're getting rumors that they're going to do a Hollywood version of a great South Korean manga anime. And they made it live action also. Zombie movie they're going to remake here in the States, which is going to be garbage again. Hollywood needs to come up with their own stuff, which they can't do anymore, and leave the stuff in Japan alone because you know why? It's not made for the American audience. It's made for the Japanese, and that's why a lot of Americans are going over to that because they're tired of what's being made here.
Well, I know that I covered a number of those stories regarding that. I know Yellow Flash. He even put up a bunch of pictures of a bunch of cosplayers who actually showed you. You know how you were saying that you could throw their whole argument about how she can't fight in those clothes out in the window, Yellow Flash I think is done.
I can pull them that Stardom, and where the girls are actually fighting, not just posing. I'm talking about actually fighting, and I can show you what those girls can do.
Yeah, I mean, they even found pictures of the same actress that was, who went out and basically dissed the fans for the costume choices. In a previous movie, she was wearing clothes very similar to that, and she was on the ground and doing these stretchy yoga type poses. So
I think I saw a Mecha Random header earlier about that. So she covered that too. But
it's just it's the politically correctness of Netflix. I mean, Netflix they get to the point of who cares. I mean, who cares now with Netflix? I don't. I really don't. I mean, I know I'm burning my bridge right now, but there'd be no way I'd ever see the Steins on Netflix.
You're good. Protect your property, man.
Well, I mean, I own my property, so I can say that. I can say who gets what, when, where, and how.
Yeah.
And
let Hulu do it or something.
That was the big thing with Peter Gilmore and I had a chat about the Steins and the Dark Goddess, and he was like, "Why are you working with the Dark Goddess? Because it's just in concept. It's just starting to think. You have an IP that is rolling, and I mean, an IP that's really moving." He said, I would look at doing like one shots because I guess Peter's read the books. He was like, you've got open spots in these books that you could do one shot comics. And I was like, well, I could. And then, once I started really thinking about it, and after Peter, really got on to me about it, I decided he's right. So yeah, there's going to be comics on the Steins. So we're going full board. The Dark Goddess is on hold. We're going full board with the Steins. We're going to run the Steins with comics. We're going to do comics. We're going to do the novels, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah, he's got a point. I mean, if you're hot on one thing, why try a completely different thing at that same time?
Yeah.
That's
what I'm going to do. I've already got the first 8 pages of the first book designed. It's called The Steins, The Birth of the Vampires. And it tells how the Count and his wife became vampires. And, it's going to be that. And it's going to be very action packed. So,
another, and RJ, I don't know if you saw this, but another story that I was following this past week was Dan Slott. Do you guys hear about that?
Oh, for God's sake! Yes,
Octavius.
Yeah, him bullying that kid Josh Quirk into
and he got slammed for it, and he blocks everybody. I mean, I'll put it like this: even I'm blocked by him. So I don't care.
I was already blocked by him.
I'm like, I don't follow him at all. Ryan had to tell me about the guy personally. If he wants to be that big of a, this is the problem you have, and I really hope people do this. If artists and writers treat you like garbage on social media, don't go to a convention and get in line to get their autograph.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being serious. Go to people who respect the fans. I mean, if you buy a book from me and I'm autographing it, the first 2 words I put in that book is thank you. Mm-hmm. Because you bought my book.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care what you dress like. I don't care who you're dating with. You bought my book. You're a fan. I appreciate you. I love you more than anything. Because why? You bought my book. Okay. I'm not going to get on social media and I'm not going to bash my fans. I'm not going to trash my fans. Why? Because they bought my book. They wanted to read my book. They bought book 1 and 2. I mean, this is the problem that you have with comic book artists and writers right now in the mainstream. They trash their fans. But the fans have got to make a stand and say, you know what, you trashed us. I'm not buying your stuff. I'm going to go over here.
Well, I I think that has been the case, James, because I know Flash and Tug have talked a lot.
I'm not worried
year.
about Flash and Tug. I know what Flash does. I watch some of his stuff.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people that still will go get in line for the guy's autograph, even though they got trashed on social media. You got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
You got to say, you know what? You trashed fans on social media. You trashed fans who were just fans. And one fan was actually taking up for you, and you still blocked the dude.
Right.
Okay, fine. We're not going to be in line for you. We're not going to support you.
I ultimately applauded Josh Quirk there for standing up for himself and saying, "Hey, look, okay, you want to behave like this? Fine. You just lost yourself a fan. You just lost the money I spent, not just on you, but for Marvel as well. You just lost yourself and Marvel a fan." And I applauded him for that because more people have to do that. And they have been doing it because you can just see that's why, and I know a lot of people have been covering this. That's why manga's been kicking the what out of mainstream comics. Because
there's something else, Mike, you don't know. Okay. DC Comics books are going to be late on shipping. They said
I think I did hear something about that. I think this
is what I think just happened. Okay, I can't prove it, but this is what I think just happened. I think their line of credit just got shot.
Oh yeah,
I think so. I think their sales
are that credit bad. Got shot. What do you mean?
I think their sales are that bad that the printer said your line of credit is maxed out. We're not going to extend it. You got to pay your bills. This is a wake up call.
That part I didn't hear, but I did hear.
Okay, this is a wake up call to comic companies. If you don't make money, your credit lines are going to get cut. If you don't start producing books that people buy, the printers are going to stop because you got to pay the printers. I'm not talking about Penguin. I'm talking about the actual guys that print the books. If you're not willing to pay them and you think you're going to go on credit and keep going, even with the government subsidy that they got last year, and they did. If you didn't know, DC, Marvel,
I heard about that too.
Got millions of dollars from the U.S. government to keep their doors open. They're going to get called out. They're going to get stopped, and then they're going to be in real trouble. That's why DC went to Webtoons, and why they're trying to go digital is because they're not being able to pay their bills.
If they don't have to use paper, then that saves them some money.
Well, also, they're not just losing that, but they're also losing talent because I know, like James Tynion, among others, leads a group of artists and writers, starting up Substack.
Okay, yeah. Substack is not hired any writers. I mean, any artist. They haven't hired any artists. They're just going for writers. Okay? So here's the thing about this is, if you look at the writers that jumped, they're the writers that ran the companies into the ground with bad writing. Okay? If the people want to follow them over there, go right ahead. But I don't pay for bad writing. I mean, if you're writing bad comics over here, why should I follow you over here if you're going to do the same thing?
Yeah.
That's the thing. And DC is the first one to probably get called out on this. And now Marvel's fixing to get nailed with it too. But unless you have books that are actually selling and you can pay for your printing, there's going to be a lot of stoppage in a lot of things.
Something else happened this week also as well. Now, I know that last week we talked about how the crazies had woke up again for no discernible reason, and we were kind of blaming it on Substack because it was like writer A and writer B get recruited to Substack, and suddenly it's like, friendly reminder, Comicsgate is a hate group.
They're trying to.
Oh yeah, that's what Slot was saying too. That's
what they're trying to do, and I'll explain what they're trying to do. They're trying to deflect any negativity from what they're doing, and that's the whole. It's called. Okay, we're going to do this. We know it's going to upset you, but go after this other group over here because they're worse.
Exactly, but you know what? It inspired a bunch of them to start resharing Bill Sienkiewicz post from 2 to 3 years ago, in which he just lambasted CG with foul language and everything, and it got shared enough to the point that Facebook finally noticed it and said, "Oh, this is bullying," and they removed the post.
But I understand they canceled the account too. They shut him down.
Oh, they kicked him. I didn't know that they canceled his account. I thought they just deleted the post.
No, they went at they saw that he had multiple, not just one post, but multiple. And so they I don't know if it's just for short term or if he got hammered. But yeah, Facebook went after him.
So it makes me wonder if the crazies have finally realized, oh, we can actually go too far.
Well, have you noticed it's kind of
I
died
think
down?
we need more of that though. We need people to start putting their foot down for these people to like say, hey, look, this behavior is not acceptable. We're not going to put up with it. You know?
And some of that should be fireable offenses. I mean, when Dan Slott comes out and says, you know, if somebody trolls you on social media, don't respond to them. Just go back and look through their history and see if you can report them for something, so that you can get their account shut down. That should be an HR guideline says no, you cannot go doing that to people.
See, the thing is, where I work, we actually have HR guidelines for social media. So that's why you never hear me say where I work or what I do for a living.
Yeah, because you don't want it to be tied to your work.
Yeah,
So you can say what you want, but
Yeah.
Dan Slott doesn't have that liberty.
No, he doesn't. It's just like I'll say this again. If I was working for Marvel or DC as a writer, first thing I would do was I wouldn't be coming after fans.
No, never.
Second thing I'd be doing is putting my foot down to figure out what actually would sell instead of political agendas. Because the difference is, and there was a report going, oh, I'm Not Starfire makes record sales. They didn't post the number of sales.
No. Yeah.
No, they didn't post the number of sales because the problem they've got now is there's books being returned. And people are taking the books back because it's so bad.
You know, as it's kind of funny because as I did look at the art for I Am Not Starfire, now that I think about it, and I know this might turn some stomachs here, my description of this, but the art kind of looks like something you would find if a palette or whatever the painters have that hold the
the
on.
palette.
It just kind of looks like something where a palette threw up. That's what the art from I Am Not Starfire reminds me of. It's like a palette.
Was very bad. Very bad, very simplistic. Anybody with a pen with the skill to hold a pencil could have drawn that that stuff. But you know, Jerry Ordway pointed the whole fact out about the audiences. I don't think he meant to, but he did, because he made that whole thing up about, you know, gee, wouldn't it be great if the liberals would throw money at our books the way that the conservatives throw money at CG books? Tacitly basically admitting that you guys aren't buying our books and we're tailoring them to you. And I had to reply back. I'm like, yeah, it's almost as if they're not your audience. Maybe the company should rethink what they're doing.
But yeah, what did he do? He
didn't reply back to me on anything.
No. Okay, I've got two hands and they're going down.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? He doubled down on his viewpoint is what I was getting at. I was trying to be a bit more creative with saying it, but
oh
well.
George, did you ever come back to your keyboard, sir?
Nope, he's still off the net.
I know he's moved.
But no, the thing is, and this is the problem you have, is when you pander to an audience that's on Twitter, and I'm talking about the SJW stuff, they'll be on Twitter and they'll be raising hell. I mean, it sounds like everything in the kitchen sink's going down. The problem is they don't buy anything.
Yeah, they're not customers.
They're not your customer. Okay. I mean, when I was at the convention, and I'm talking about, and these are all the independent comic creators. Everybody's talking about the same thing when it comes to politic thing. After, you know, they're like, man, my brother's a Marine, my wife's brother's a Marine, so like that. They're all concerned about what's going on in Afghanistan. They're all concerned about things like that. They're not caring about the social justice baloney. And I was talking to a lot of these guys are not on Twitter or Facebook. And they've got books, you know, they sell at the conventions. That's what they do. But you don't have SJW showing up at the conventions.
No.
They don't. They didn't show. None of them showed up. I mean, everybody that was there, I mean, it was a good mix of young and older people. It was a good mix. Mm-hmm. Everybody was buying stuff. And I can tell you this: the thing about people buying backstock, because usually when you go to a convention, the long boxes, there'll be one guy with a whole bunch of long boxes on a table. There was a whole room that was nothing but long boxes. A whole room.
Yeah. Well, James,
this is in one day. Hold on, Mike.
Yeah.
This is in one day. When we left at 7 o'clock, 90% of those boxes were empty. I mean, they cleaned out those long boxes.
There's a hunger for the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so the sales of older comics are there. And I'll tell you what I was watching. Jim Lee, Will Spataccio, Art Thiebert's X Factor, X-Force, X-Men going out the door. Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man is going out the door. Image Comics from the early 90s. All those comics. I'm talking Cyberforce. I'm talking Spawn. I'm talking Youngblood. All that stuff going out the doors. I mean, they weren't buying just one or two. I mean, they were buying stacks of these books. So this thing about, the 90s comic books weren't that great. Well, the 90s comic books were selling back then. They're selling now. And the stuff that's being published now is not selling.
Yep.
Yeah. The point I want to make, though, James, was as you said earlier, it was primarily indie comic writers that were at that convention. There wasn't like any mainstream comic people there.
We had two.
But the majority of them were basically indie and people who would be non-Comicsgate, right?
No, they were, well, they're okay. They don't crowdfund their books, okay? But when you talk to them, they're very conservative. So they would be in the group of Comicsgate because of the political views.
Well, you were saying my point being is this: you were saying that there were no SJWs at the convention.
That I saw.
What I'm saying is that maybe it's because you didn't have a lot of the mainstream creators who are like sitting there actually trying to pitch to them.
I'm trying to remember who they were. We did have one guy from Marvel, and we had two guys from Marvel. We actually had two guys from Marvel. They had good lines like that, but the politics was never brought up. And I don't think they're on social media, these two guys. I can't remember who they were. But the thing about it is again, your SJW crowd doesn't come to conventions.
No. The only SJWs that go to conventions. Yeah, the only SJWs that go to conventions are sitting at the table signing books most of the time.
But
because here's the thing. I know, like, for example, Dominic Sky, who was one of the more well-known cosplayers who was all up in the Vic situation. She goes to comic conventions. You do have SJWs go there. It's just that not a lot of them do. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm playing devil's advocate here a little bit, but I think in a lot of cases the SJW just sound more like a very loud minority than anything else.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They're just loud.
But like I said, the convention went really well. Like I said, the thing is, what I recommend to the comic book artists and creators: stand up, talk to your fans. Don't sit down. Don't sit away from your table. Basically, you have to sell your product. You have to be the person. You got to be positive. Be energetic also. I mean, you got to be energetic about your product,
Yeah.
To push it, saying, this is what it is. This is why you should buy it, things like that.
And that's hard on day 3. Mr. Yanafui saying, "Shut up, George. Let people speak."
Yeah. Oh my God, that was a good one. But yeah, I mean, when you have a comic book convention that's coming up now, that just came up, do your best to sell your product. Remember, when you go there as an artist, writer, whatever, you stop being the artist and writer. That's secondary. Now you're the face of the company. Now you're the promoter. Now you're the salesperson. You got to learn how to do that. And I guarantee you, if it's like my father or Lee, they'll sell. They can just put something down, everybody buy it. It doesn't matter. But I'm saying we're not them. So we got to get our name out. We got to get our stuff out. We got to get our production. Also, I saw this too. If you're making a comic book, get a good title. Make a good title. Focus on your title. Not the design of the title. I'm talking about the actual title. Like mine, The Steins. It was catching people. Is that like Frankenstein? Sort of. It's actually Von Stein, but here's the story. Because that's what was catching people. Is this like Frankenstein? They were asking, once I got them in the hook, I could talk to them.
Yeah, and that
It's
it
like
was
that.
intentionally called the Steins because that would make people ask, "Is
Yeah.
that like Frankenstein?"
Exactly. That's exactly why I did it. And the thing about it is people were taking up. And then, like I said, the young lady beside me, her setup was amazing. She knew how to market, and she was more adamant toward people than I was. And she was good. She was really good, and her artwork was fantastic. Like I said, she is a teacher at, I think, North Texas University on graphics, art on computers, on how to do it and how to prep everything. So she knows the ins and outs of the whole thing, and her artwork was fantastic. And she does dark fantasy.
I'm glad that people are going back to conventions again. So
Yeah.
keep us updated on your next one.
I don't know when my next one's going to be because, like I said, I can't make the next two because of short notice. I couldn't get a table, and I'm not paying that one at the Fan Expo. They're just, oh my God, they're asking so much money for a table. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and if you want electricity, it's like an arm and a leg more because they got to
Well,
pay the union people to lay the cables down.
I'll tell you straight up how much a table is for 3 days at the anime. I mean, not the anime, but at the Fan Expo in Dallas. $400.
It's a lot of books to sell.
It's an insane.
$400 for all 3 days, or $400 a day?
No, for all 3 days. But $400 is an unbelievable amount of money because I'll put it like this: I could do what I paid for the table that I did this last one. I could do 7 shows for the price of that one show. 7 shows. All right, it's just ridiculous. I do the one in October. The big horror convention has been postponed again. That one was supposed to be in February, and then it was moved to October. Now it's postponed again. I'm guessing it's going next February before that one comes out. Which hopefully I'll be able to that one. But yeah, next convention I will be definitely posting it again, like on social media and stuff. So, and like I said, I do have a sale because I have leftover books. I do have a sale, so if you want a paperback of book 1 or book 2, they're $10 plus $5 shipping, so that's $15. If you want a hardback, that's $20 plus $5 shipping on that. And I have
I
prints.
threw the link to the vonsteins.com into the chat for people to do that.
It's got all the information. And yes, I do take PayPal, but you have to contact me directly so we can set that up because my website company is being a complete morons on how to do PayPal. So,
well, guys, it is right at 1 hour, and I do need to cut it off right now.
Okay.
Otherwise, we could. Yeah.
Can we go around and do quick promos for our stuff real quick?
Absolutely, George. Tell us what's going on with your world right now.
Sure.
Oh, wait, he's there.
Sure. I'm working on the comic book.
Good.
And I can show you maybe a couple of new slides.
All right. I was going to go, George. Tell us what's going on in your world. Thank you, George. But you answered the call.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Kind of went silent there, George.
I was interested in the conversation.
He is alive. He is alive.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to show you a 2-page transition. I share screen.
I'm hovering and waiting for a screen to pop up. Oh, that's a lot of rain.
Oh, very nice, George.
Actually, it's on the page. It's like this, but you know what? For the guys, for everybody here, I'll just do a rotate left, and whoops, give me a sec. There you go.
That is really nice, George. Very nice work.
So what you're seeing? Oh, it's cut off. Give me. Oh, that's no good. Give me a sec. Let me pull it back. There you go. Okay, so what you're seeing here Bottom left is actually the first panel on the page. You know what? I got to show you the panel before this, so I understand the context. Give me a sec.
Go back to the beginning of the book. We'll just.
Hey, George, is this a double page?
What's that?
Is this a double page?
No, it's a single page.
He just turned it sideways so it could all fit on the screen and see it in bigger.
Yeah, it's a single page. Give me a sec. I'm gonna show you this panel here. Okay, so what you're seeing is them hopping onto the ship, and they're heading towards that little opening in the center of the ship, the little dark area. All right, so they get in the ship. You know what? I should show you what the inside looks like. All right. So this is them getting into the ship, and let's see. Maybe I should show you. When they get comfortable in the ship. Maybe I should show that too.
Remember, this is a child-friendly show.
Yeah. Okay. So they're getting comfortable in the ship. It's very crowded. It's very claustrophobic. And if you notice that the whole ceiling of the ship is a monitor, it's a screen. So, while the ship itself is solid on the outside, on the inside, where is it? Here we go. On the inside, you can actually see through it, right? So it's like having one really awesome sunscreen window, or was it sunroof on the ship? Yeah. One really awesome sunroof on the ship. Okay, so the robots, the captain tells them, get comfortable. We're ready to go. It says put on your seatbelts. And Joe says, I don't need no seatbelts. I've traveled through the stars at faster than light speed. He goes, yeah, but that's relative to you, not relative to the ship. So the bottom left, the ship is taking off. You see the as it's pushing the rain away. The pods in the back light up. That's why they're white. And then it starts to make its turn. The lights at the front light up, and then it just speeds right through the rain, heading out into outer space on the big panel, right? And
how long did it take you to do that page, George?
Give me a sec. And this is outer space. You know what? Let me do this sideways as well. In space, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
There you go. That's where they were. They were in that mushroom world, and they're leaving. They're leaving the orbit of the planet that's orbiting the mushroom world, and the third panel there, the ship shudders as it heads faster than light, and then right there, it's moving faster than light.
Very cool. When are we going to get this?
December.
That's coming up.
Yeah, it is.
Man, everything's going to hit me at once, George.
I rotate right, so
I'm going to be packing up the Embrace and the Company Men, and you're going to start throwing hardcovers at me.
Well, you can just put those books aside. You don't have to worry about those books. Just concentrate on my stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So a recap. They jump onto the ship. They go into that little open area. This what the open area looks like. It looks like a hobbit. A hobbit house. You can see it's very crowded in there. Very claustrophobic. The girl relaxes. Joe relaxes. He looks up. He sees, the transparency, the rain hitting the the sunroof. I think it's really nice. The robot, punches in the codes for to travel. Joe makes a comment about blah blah blah. The ship takes off, and we're off into space. Let's see. Is there one more bonus panel? One more bonus panel.
Who's the bag?
Give me a sec.
So, George, was what you said a few minutes ago there, was that your way of saying, well, you've read the best, you can forget the rest kind of bit?
That's silly to say that. All right. Oh, okay. Here. This is the store that Joe came out of. Joe was shopping for the milk and eggs gag from the last issue. This is Joe. This is Joe. Buying milk buying milk and eggs, and on the right side there's this alien who's arguing with the octopus. Shopkeeper about the mint value of that card.
And if you zoom in on that card, it's a Joe King card.
Yes, it is. That's right. You got it. That's right. There it is.
Oh
there,
man, this is where we're showing that raster stuff again. You zoom
Actually,
in on
that card look the picture on that card looks kind of like Wonder Woman to me.
But did you see how he was able to zoom in on a trading card and have perfectly good clarity with no pixelation?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all vector. The whole book's vector. Oh yeah, there's also another set of trading cards that you guys are going to be getting. It's up right up there. You see that?
I see that.
That's a set of 4 cards right up there.
Okay, and where's that coming from?
What do you mean?
Is it going to be in this with this book release or in some?
Yeah. There's 54 trading cards in this set. In this.
I'm sitting here thinking there's going to be a book and a spaceship. And
oh no, the people who bought who paid for the trading cards are getting 54 trading cards.
All right.
Yeah. Was it 5 sheets of 9 cards, or is it 6 sheets of 9 cards? You know what? I'll show you just one more panel. Let's see. Give me a sec. Oh, okay. Here. This is outside the store. Joe walking outside the store.
And it's starting to rain already. Is it raining in the whole book?
No. It's just raining in this opening scene.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, the captain is right there on top of the ship. If you can see that,
I do.
There you go. He's on top of the ship, and he's fishing in a pail.
I saw he had his rod and reel out earlier.
Yeah, that's an ongoing gag from the last book.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the 3 characters and kind of the paint scheme here, it reminds me a little bit of the Galaxy Trio. Was wondering if you got some inspiration there from the Galaxy Trio.
No, not a hint.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yes, I am aware, but not a hint of the Galaxy Trio.
All right. Well, everybody, can people still get this from you, George?
Oh, they can get the oversized books, but they can't get the free spaceship at all.
Okay.
They can get the oversized books. They can get the trading cards and original art, but no free spaceship.
All right. They have to buy spaceships.
No. Spaceship sold out.
Oh, well then, no spaceships for you.
Yeah, no spaceship for you. No soup either.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? One more panel.
One more panel.
This is the key sequence that you see on the cover. This is the actual panel in the book.
That's a giant hand collapsing a galaxy.
No, that's a giant hand collapsing a superstar that's bigger than a galaxy, and the galaxy is just in front of it, getting wiped away by the shock force.
Whoa, that's big.
The scale on this is over the top. You know what? One more panel.
That just to put it into perspective. Yeah.
Okay, you got to put that scene in perspective. There's the scene before that panel.
So there's a galaxy.
So if you look closely, bottom right corner, the spaceship's there.
Yeah.
That's where they're watching this whole event happen. And there's two galaxies here. There's a galaxy on the far right up, and there's a superstar, and there's a galaxy closest to us. Oh, and another one in bottom left corner, that little light dot, that's a galaxy, a smaller galaxy. So this giant robot is reaching to crush this superstar that's bigger than the two galaxies right there. And she's reaching 2 galaxies away. Her reach is 2 galaxies away to actually crush the superstar.
Wow.
So when she crushes this superstar, the big question is, how can they see all this happen in real time? The light from this event should take thousands, if not millions, of years to reach them.
I agree.
And they're watching this entire event happen right before their eyes. So there's I'm not going to say what's going on, but there is something that is happening that is allowing them to experience thousands and millions of years in an instant.
Something of cataclysmic proportions.
I'm not saying.
All right. So.
Oh, and let's see. You know what? No, if I do another panel, I might as well show you the whole book then.
I agree.
Well, obviously we also want to give James and myself a chance to promote our stuff. To, do a little.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. All right, fine. If you want to go that way.
So we'll hit up James and then go over to Mike, and then I'm going to close it out.
Okay, guys. The Steins books 1 and 2 are out. Go to my website, vonsteins.com. I have some left over from the con. I am selling them at con prices. That means you are getting them at a major discount. What I mean by the major discount, hardback, book 1, I only have 6 copies left, $20. Plus shipping, which is, I'm doing a flat fee of $5. So that's $25. Paperbacks, book 1 and 2 I have, $10 each, $5 shipping. And I do take PayPal. You have to just contact me, and I'll help you get through with PayPal. But go over to the website, www.vonsteins.com, pick up some books. And I have some original artwork. I haven't posted up there, but I have the original artwork still from the convention also, and the prints. So have all that stuff.
And stay tuned for some Von Stein's one-shot graphic novels in the near future.
Yep, definitely.
All right, Mike, the mic stand. What's happening this week?
Okay, so Monday to Thursdays, of course, our typical niche newscast stuff. And I have been looking to your side as well, RJ. I've covered a couple of your stories already.
You didn't find anything there, did you?
Huh?
We don't do that much. You didn't find anything, did you?
No, not a whole lot, but I still got a couple good stories out of you there. And of course, Friday is the historical comics retrospect. This week we'll be heading into April of 1938. We'll be focusing in on DC this week. So that will be meaning we'll be reading, of course, Slam Bradley, Speed Saunders, Dr. Occult, Steve Carson of the Federal Men, and Radio Squad. 4 of those 5 features, of course, were written and drawn by the combination of Siegel Schuster, which, of course, gave us Superman as well. One more little tidbit I want to just mention real quick. 1 week from tomorrow, and I'll probably mention this again next week, of course. 1 week from tomorrow will be my next open mic, the next Open Mic Night on my channel, And of course, you guys are all invited to join us there if you'd like as well.
So wait a minute, wait. So this is an open mic night?
Open mic stand. Yes.
An open mic night on the mic stand.
Yeah, this is when we
1
we
week
show
from
up with
1 week
scalpels,
from
he
tomorrow.
lays down, and we open mic.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's basically like what we do here. But usually it's just mostly my guys. But you know,
It'll be you in charge instead of
Yeah.
me running the show. And I don't run much of anything here. I just kind of click buttons.
yeah, but week from tomorrow is my next open mic night on my channel. As I told you, we got DC covering DC from April 1938 this Friday, and the next Friday we'll be covering Dell and United Features, and then we'll get into May the week after that. But that's about it for now. I mean, I know weekly I can tell you what's up, you know, what I'll be covering and stuff like that. But for this week, this Friday, DC, April 1938. Next Monday, Open Mic Night, and then and next Friday, Dell and United Features from April 1938. Everything, you know, the other days I'll be doing the normal niche newscast. So,
All right.
so that's about it there, RJ. And thank you again for having me, and thank you for the little conversation before the show.
Not a problem. I do have to run, so I'm not sticking around for any after talk tonight. But thanks everybody for showing up. Thank you, people in the chat. We don't have a show without you. Otherwise, it's just a conference call. So we're
also thank you to the people who are going to be watching this on replay.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Thank you for the the people at YouTube who monitor this to make sure that there's nothing said in here that would prevent it from being monetized.
Yes. Thank you to the YouTube censors. You're very we're very grateful for you.
All right, we'll see you guys, and as always, we just hope you had a blast.